Mario Cristobal's transfer portal philosophy can be summed up in three simple words.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. I've been excited for the last several days about this episode. We're going to talk about new starters on the defense. We, our special guest and I, are going to reveal our Miami Hurricanes Mount Rushmores. And I know these are going to piss people off because anytime you try to narrow it down to 4 faces chiseled into that mountain, it's going to be all about who we leave out, but I can't wait to get into it. And folks, on Mario Cristobal's portal philosophy, as it's Tuesday, and we bring in the truth teller. Yeah. So Bruce,
it's about time it's Tuesday. I feel like I haven't been on in months.
It feels like that, right? So Mario Cristobal did a circuit of interviews on Monday. He was on with J.D. Piquel of On3 Sports, and on his transfer portal philosophy, he first summed it up in 3 words: go get better. And he added, we're getting to a point where it's a dozen guys this year added in the portal, but if they're in the portal or on the moon, if they can make this place better, we are going to get them, he said. And of course, Bruce, the centerpiece to making this team better was going out and getting quarterback Darian Mensah, who Coach Cristobal said we felt he was the best one. Deadly accurate, creating explosive plays on schedule, off schedule, pocket presence. After meeting him, unbelievable personality, made of the right stuff, alpha. He is the right guy for us to continue to get better and to help develop that young quarterback room. That young quarterback room is impressive. We think those guys are going to be great players. But before we get to them, Bruce, we're going to get to Darian Mensah, who comes off a near 4,000 passing yard season, 34 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions last year.
Yeah, that's incredible. Getting Mensah and the receivers like getting Secretary and throwing in Seattle Slew when you're a horse breeder. It's like, wow, you can't beat this. This guy Mensah, we talked about Levitt this and Levitt that and Sorsby this. We got this guy. The stats are way better than those other guys.
Yeah.
It's incredible. To me, you asked me last week, are we going to score 40 points a game? Now that I'm looking at all these people, yeah, we're going to score 40 points or more. Obviously, we're loaded. But, I do have some reservations, as everybody, and we'll get to that in a minute because we're going to talk about the defensive replacements. There's always question marks. 2 years ago, we thought Lofton was going to be a breakout star. Didn't happen. Last spring, everybody's talking about Hayden Lowe. Didn't happen. So I have reservations about some of these defensive replacements, but we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But Mensah is, as Reggie called himself when he went to the Yankees, the straw that stirred the drink. That's what this guy is. Because with all the talent we have, I don't think we would be anywhere near as good if Beck was coming back. This guy is special. I don't know how you compare him to Cam Ward, but he has a lot of similar attributes. And I think Piquel asked him about that. And it's very similar. You don't want to say he's Cam Ward because Cam Ward was the #1 pick in the draft. But Mensah's special. I think the offense will be incredible. And we need some people to step up, especially on the O-line. That's where the question marks are for the offense. For the defense, it's all across the board, I believe. And we'll talk about that in a few.
Yeah, I want to stay on the O-line for a second, Bruce, because I've been asking a lot of people about that in recent weeks. I had a great conversation with Edwin Pata, who's the current O-line coach at FIU, but he used to be the assistant O-line coach under Alex Mirabal. And, I asked him about what you and I always talk about, like how do you get 4 new starters on the same page really quickly? And Coach Pata acknowledged that that's definitely a thing. Like, offensive linemen need to play as a unit, but he's not worried about it because Coach Mirabal is so good at that, and he believes in the athletes Miami has. Coach Cristobal also talked about his young offensive linemen. This was on an interview with Gabby Urrutia and David Lake on 24/7 Sports. On the young O-line, Mario said, well, they got the benefit of watching some veterans play together for a good bit, and they understand the importance of 5 guys working as one. But you look at the way Samson Okunlola played this year. Samson played as good as anybody else in the conference, Coach Cristobal said, and most of the guys in the country. He was a co-starter. Matt McCoy, the same thing, as big of an upside like Samson as anybody else that we've had go through the university. And Ryan Rodriguez didn't play as much this year, but he was a co-starter and actually started game 1 the previous year, and we consider him that as well. So you have 3 staples, veterans that have a lot of experience coming back, and the young talent that has been developing, or they just got here, big, fast, strong, physical, and very smart. And I think you guys know the culture that Coach Mirabal creates in that room is unmatched. It's second to none. It's overtime and time again, he said. So it seems like everyone's pretty excited about what they have in the O-line room. And then the other part of it is, Bruce, with Darian Mensah's mobility and his ability to get outside the pocket and make plays, you're not going to be quite as clean pocket dependent with Mensah as you were with Carson Beck last year.
Yeah, and those guys that you mentioned, their names, have been here before. They've played, and many of them have cross-trained different positions. So the guy who's going to be the one that everybody's looking at is Cantwell, because he's a true freshman with a lot of pub going into this season. If he pencils himself, if he's a starter on the right side, yeah, there's pressure on this kid. He's got to be able to protect the quarterback. He's got to be able to run block. A lot of times you see Fletcher turning the corner on the right side. He's critical. He's very critical. And with this line, do you want to continue to use a tight end as a 6th blocker all the time? Not really. You really don't. You want to use him in the offense. So there's a lot going on here. But I think Mensah is going to make a huge, huge difference from this year. Not so much from when Cam was here, because they were any play we could have taken it to the house on any down. Yeah. That's what seemed like it happened. But it was like pulling teeth this year a little bit with the offense. And so when Dawson got a little more creative and opened it up a little bit and used Malachi as a decoy, then things got better. And, in the title game, we were right there. Yeah. Excuse me. We should have won that damn game. We gave it away with the block punt. Oh. So I think our offense this year is so loaded, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. With the upside, not proven talent. And one of the things I wanted to ask Mario, because I'm trying to get him on the show, is what does he expect out of Malachi this year? What does he need to improve on? Obviously, some strength. He's got to get stronger. He's got to gain a few pounds. He's got to hold on to that football, because everybody, if you watch those playoff games, they're all trying to strip it from him. And some of them did.
Yeah, it happened. I think ball security for him is big. I know we can rest assured, Bruce, that Malachi is always working. Here was something Cristobal said yesterday about Toney. I think he's just getting started. When I'm over there at 5:30 in the morning and checking in with Alex Mirabal, I walk in there and Malachi Toney is in there dapping it up and talking protections. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're an alien. You're here with the offensive line coach as a wide receiver. He's a very uncommon and unbelievable young man. We are fortunate to have him. So I've wondered the same thing as you, Bruce. Like, how does Malachi Toney follow up what he just did as an early enrollee, true freshman with 1,200 receiving yards, 109 catches, and double-digit touchdowns in 3 different phases? But I know Toney is always working to get smarter and get stronger, and now that he's got even better receivers, like sharing the field with him, Bruce, like, it's going to be impossible for everyone just to put all of their attention on Malachi Toney, because Cooper Barkate also had 1,100 receiving yards last year.
I think we're based on what you just said, I'm going to assume that Malachi does not match those numbers next year, but our team may be better. They'll be less reliant on him. Yeah. There's a number of guys. You just said Barkate. I get that. We've got more coming back. We've got a lot of the young kids coming back or coming in. Paris Milan. You talked about
Wingo,
who was already practicing and was lighting it up. So, and then, of course, we have to have a return and a healthy return with his head on straight of Lofton. Elija Lofton has a big upside, but he can't have a game where he's like non-existent, and then he catches one ball and then non-existent again and healthy. So, there's things that are in the offense. But on paper, wow, we loaded. We are so loaded. It's terrible to look at the roster. How do you think everybody going to get the ball? How's everybody going to run the ball? But you know what? That's a hell of a problem to have, and I'm willing to accept it. I'll take it, baby. 40 points a game.
Speaking of a hell of a problem, when we come back, Bruce Warner and I will each have our Mount Rushmore of Miami Hurricanes. You had this idea to do this, Bruce, and until I actually started to put pen to paper, I didn't realize how difficult it would be to narrow it down to 4 faces on my mountain and the amount of internal conflict I had with the guys that I had to leave off of the Mount Rushmore. So I can't wait to hear yours. I can't wait to give mine. We're also going to reveal our 2 favorite Miami Hurricanes, regardless of their Mount Rushmore status. You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, this is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. I'll tell you who keeps moving the game forward for the Hurricanes hoops team. Malik Renew. What a season he's having. Every time you look up, 23 points, 24 points. He's averaging over 20 on the season. Malik scored 23 in Miami's weekend win against Boston College. Another standout performance, and we're going to need another one of those tonight. The Hurricanes hoops team goes up against North Carolina in a huge opportunity for a quality victory, and I know Malik Renew is going to have a lot to do with a hopeful Canes dub tonight. And it reminds us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. We put that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Folks, the new year is here, and it's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love the way it looks and feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every home, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. Wayfair has everything you need for a full home refresh all in one place. Whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your work from home setup, Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and your budget. I love that my wife and I can find pieces that match our style without spending a fortune. Shopping is easy, delivery is smooth, and everything arrives exactly as expected. So get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. And make sure if you're an everydayer, you make your status official by joining the Everydayer Club. Hit that all-access tier of the Everydayer Club, and you get exclusive episodes called the Canes Colada that I provide just for the Everydayer Club members. Exclusive newsletters, one-on-one texting with me, and so many other benefits. Go to lockedoncanes.supercast.com or click the link in the show notes below to become a member of the all-access tier of the Everydayer Club today.
You guys write comments. Of course, there's always a lot of great comments, some not good. But think about this. You guys comment on it and say, who do you think the 4 best players at the U ever was? That's your Mount Rushmore. So go ahead. You want me to do mine, or you want to do yours, or what?
I'll do mine first, and then so all right. So first of all, Bruce, did we both agree? So my criteria was I'm only doing players on my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
because
no coaches.
If I open it to coaches, I'm gonna insist on putting Jimmy in, and then how do I put Jimmy in without putting Howard in? Because Howard, built the program. So it's like I got Jimmy and I got Howard, and I only have space for 2 players. Like I'm doing mine players only.
Right.
And okay, a couple of my selections were easy. The first guy that I'm going to go with. I chisel the first face into my Hurricanes Mount Rushmore. And this is an easy one because he means so much to the past and also to the present of this program, is the playmaker, Michael Irvin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, instrumental in the 1987 national championship. Like, the playmaker is an embodiment of the Miami culture, the swagger, and now he's basically like the unofficial mascot of the U today, the belt to behind on the sidelines. Like, Michael Irvin was such an easy one. So I've got the playmaker on my Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I definitely want to make sure that there's representation for that 2001 Miami Hurricanes team, greatest collection of talent of all time. And so I've got Ed Reed as the second face chiseled onto my Mount Rushmore. I mean, you think about the season, especially 2000, 2001. It's like every time he got his hands on a football, it was a pick six. Ed Reed, field general, leader in the locker room. Remember when he took that football from Matt Walters to score that interception return for a touchdown against Boston College in that near loss? And he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So Ed Reed becomes the second.
We won that game.
No, yeah, we almost lost that. The Boston College game that we almost lost. Yeah.
Okay.
It would have been a catastrophic loss had we lost it. So,
all right, so now you're circling. Now this is where it gets tough. Go ahead.
It gets tough. All right. So I'm thinking about the quarterback that won Miami's first national championship. I'm going Bernie Kosar. I'm chiseling Bernie's face into my Mount Rushmore, Bruce. For all that he represented.
Is that because he was the first one to win a title, or he really deserves to be one of the top 4 best players we ever had? I think there's a difference.
Okay, so you're strictly going on best ever. I'm going on meaning. Like, for me, and your criteria can be different than mine. It's fine, but I'm going to go. And Bernie was a hell of a quarterback as well.
Yeah,
don't take that away from him. He had a long NFL career. So I'm going, and you know what he represents is the first quarterback to win a title. That's why he gets the third face on my Mount Rushmore. And for my final,
listen, I'll argue with that for 1 second. If you're going by,
okay, go ahead.
What did you say you're going by?
You know, by his significance to this program.
Then Kenny Calhoun belongs on there, number 1, because he made the greatest play in the history of the school. Okay. The greatest play. That tip gave us the national title. It set everything in motion. So, but I'm not using that as a criteria. I love Kenny; he's my friend, but he's not on this list.
All right,
he's not one of the 4 greatest. But go ahead. All right, so now you've got Bernie.
My fourth spot.
You have one more.
And I don't know. And you guys tell me in the comments if this is controversial, right? Because I know when we're thinking Mount Rushmores, a lot of us are thinking deep into the past, deep into history. Okay. But I'm chiseling out the 4th spot in my Mount Rushmore, and I will explain fully the selection.
Mm-hmm.
Rueben Hurricane Bain is getting that 4th spot in my Mount Rushmore, Bruce. Someone who is about to be a first-round NFL draft pick, had a sensational season, top-graded pass rusher by Pro Football Focus, someone who has represented this community, you know, started out high school Nat Moore Trophy Award winner, multiple times state champion at Miami Central, and he made the decision that couldn't have been that easy at the time. I know Jeremiah Smith didn't make that decision to stay home and represent for his city, right? Bain committed to Miami when Miami was coming off a 5-7 season.
Mm-hmm.
He could have gone to Bama, he could have gone to Auburn, could have gone to Ohio State, could have gone anywhere. Rueben Bain decided to put on for his city and play for his hometown, and he gets rewarded to the tune of about to be a first-round draft pick, multiple college football playoff wins. I know we couldn't get quite over the hump, but a national championship appearance. I wanted to have representation for the modern era, for what Mario Cristobal is doing, getting this program back on top right now, and I decided Rueben Hurricane Bain is the best representative for that, so I'm giving him the 4th spot on my Mount Rushmore.
Okay. Yeah, it's controversial. I remember when we had Tolbert Bain, he said he knew that, Rueben knew that he was going to be a Cane at birth. You remember that? He said at birth. So I never really worried about the recruitment because he said he knew he was going to be a Hurricane. It's just a matter of just pulling the trigger. So here's my 4. I agree with Ed Reed and I agree with Michael Irvin.
Oh, so we got two of the same. Okay.
Now, I have two other ones. Well, I have three other ones. I have a split vote, and I can't help it.
Hold on. There's 4 faces on the mountain. You can't have a split.
Yeah, I'm having a split. I'm putting half a face of Warren Sapp. Like him or not, the guy was incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
He was a great player.
And the other side of that, his other face was Jerome Brown. And not a lot of people.
I'm not going to argue that. Jerome Brown belongs.
I saw Jerome. Okay. I watched him practice. Yeah. I knew everybody was afraid of him. Anybody that screwed up in practice, he wouldn't say anything. He'd just look at them, just stare at them and say, like, never again. Don't do that ever again. Because you didn't want to mess with him. So I have Sapp and Jerome as one half. And I made this. I created this so I could get to do what the hell I want. and my last guy is, you talk about modern. How about Cam Ward?
Oh, I like that.
Greatest quarterback I have ever seen. And that includes a lot of great players, especially at Miami. He shattered every record there was. No. So although only 1 year, he was the greatest quarterback I had ever seen in my 40-something years of watching this team play football. So
incredible.
And I have two honorable mentions, which are probably going to be a part of many people's Mount Rushmore. Ray Lewis. Ray
almost made my Mount Rushmore. Right. Like if I hadn't put Bain on there, it would have been Ray.
And then the other one is either Sapp or Jerome, because if I can't put two halves of a head on there, then but both of those guys are relatively equal. Seriously, they were spectacular. Now I have my two favorite players of all time.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So my favorite players of all time, one, because he was lightning in a bottle, incredible to watch. Nobody went to the concession stands on a kickoff and a punt, and that's Devin Hester.
That's a good call.
Electric. And every time he got his hands on the ball, everybody was like, what's going to happen now? You watch his highlights from Miami and in the pros, and I'm so happy that he's in the Hall of Fame, because he deserves it more than any of these other special teams guys. He was the greatest at what he did in high school, college, and the NFL. And my other former favorite player is an easy one, because everybody knows it's Mark Caesar, because Mark is still my buddy to this day. We talked to him last night. I was on the phone with him. We called you, and he ripped through a new rear end. He was really funny. He's just the funniest guy. So Mark was always my favorite player, but because we're so close.
He's a trip, man. For my two favorites, I'm going two quarterbacks. This is like, it's trying to like pick your two favorite children when you have like 50 kids. Like, this is so difficult for me, but I'm going to go with one of the names that you mentioned earlier. I'm going to go with Cam Ward as one of my favorites, because like, he really means a lot to me and my family. Like Cam Ward, I think, is the primary reason why my son, who's about to turn 8 years old, he got fully into college football last year, and it was because of Cam Ward. Like, watching Cam Ward, so spoiled, that got him hooked on football.
Yeah, and his father listens to the show.
Exactly. I've been able to get to know Ward and his family. His father listens to the show. His mother is awesome. So like Cam Ward, and not to mention the fact that, like you mentioned, greatest quarterback has ever put on the uniform at Miami. And that's not a controversial thing to say, even though he was here for just 1 year. So Cam Ward,
imagine if he was on this team this year with the defense we had instead of...
we would have been 16-0.
We would have destroyed Indiana. I would have been a joke.
Yeah, so Cam Ward is one. And then, man, it always comes back to Ken Dorsey for me. And I remember the couple times I've been lucky enough to interview Ken over the years. Like, I feel starstruck. I mean, there was something about, that amazing record that he had on the field, and, the way he carried himself and everything. So such a great guy, such a leader. Yeah. Ken Dorsey for me is probably the other one for my two favorites. But I still want
him to replace Dawson when Dawson leaves, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. By the way, I want to do a quick thing. So I'm at Publix the other day, and I'm walking down the aisle. I did not have the hurricane hat on. I did not have a hurricane shirt on. I'm walking up an aisle, and I see this guy with a hurricane hat on backwards, and I say, "Go Canes." He walks down the aisle, and he turns around about 8 steps later, and he says, "You're the truth teller." Oh. Yeah. How did you know? He says, "Because I watch the show all the time. It's my favorite show.
That's awesome.
You're my favorite guest. And I was like, wow. And I was still about starstruck. I was like, wow, I am great. No, I'm not kidding. Just kidding. but, it was great to hear. It really was.
Maybe you're on that dude's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, maybe. No,
That's awesome, though.
They just love what we talk about and how we talk the truth and how we really feel. And I really feel like this. And it's how I am. It's how you are. And I'm glad that most everybody likes the show and likes what I bring to the table. Not everybody. There's a bunch of complaints, but you know what? I sometimes comment back. You can kiss my ass. I don't care. I mean, I care because I think you're an idiot, but that's beside the point.
I love it.
So what else are we doing today? Oh, we're going to do the starters on defense eventually.
Yeah, well, when we come back, I know the truth teller has thoughts on the new starters on defense. And, of course, we got to replace somebody who was on my Mount Rushmore, Rueben Hurricane Bain, who leaves some gigantic shoes to fill. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, tax season does not have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. And they handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. It's a huge time saver, and it gives real peace of mind knowing that an expert is handling it. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. Alex Donno and the Truth Teller with you. All right, so Bruce, of course, Miami is losing Rueben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, Jacoby Thomas, Keontae Scott, other impactful losses on the defensive side. Wesley Basaint at linebacker. How do you feel about the replacements, and who do you expect to fill some of their shoes?
Well, this is where I have questions. And, of course, I'm going to be negative because everybody's going to say I am. But here's my truth. Do we really know if Lightfoot is going to gain weight and be a little bigger and stronger in the spring like he should be? Because he needs to bulk up. He can't keep playing defensive end at this weight and not stay on the field all game. He can't. Second question I have is, love Hayden Lowe. Had a great spring last year. Is he really healthy? Right. He had a bad injury. It's only been about 6 or 7 months. I don't know, but we'll see in the spring what he does. And if he's dominant, then I guess he's okay. So that's two guys right there that are almost penciled in at the end to start, and you don't know, right? You just don't know. You got Blunt. I think he had a pretty good year. I expect him to be better. We got other guys coming in at the end. Of course, we got Wilson from Missouri, who I expect to be. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be Bain or Mesidor, but he might be. He might be just as good. He had more sacks.
Well, I mean, so something to consider. He had 9 sacks in the SEC. And listen, I know, like, everybody says how difficult it is in the SEC to put up stats. Like, so he had more regular season stats in the SEC than Bain did in the ACC. So I mean,
but that doesn't really mean much. But but the point is that this is a guy who you could really count on. Now, as far as the D tackles are concerned, I think that may be the strength of the D-line this year because Moton has really stepped up. And assuming he's healthy, he's going to be more dominant. Justin Scott had some really good games, but he's got to be more consistent and more impactful at the line of scrimmage, which I think they're going to work on. He still has 6 or 7 months to go. So, and then the backups. We got the kid from Ohio State. We got the kid from Nebraska. What's his name? Davis. I think we're going to have the backups. I think the D tackle spot is going to be pretty dominant this year. At linebacker, I don't know if Bonner hardly played at all. I don't know much about him at all.
Yeah, he was hurt.
But he was hurt. But again, he's going to play after not playing. So the Saints, to me, never really dominated game to game to game. I thought Toure was way more impactful. So he's coming back. Smith is coming back. So I think we're okay. And then we got Wiley, who didn't play much, but he's got the size. He's a big kid, and he'll get to play. He'll get to play this in some of the garbage time and some of the not so tough games we play this year. The safeties. We know that Bryce is coming back.
Yeah.
He needs to bulk up a little bit too. Keontae and Jacoby were solid builds. They were great anticipation, great hands. They were very, very consistent. We need consistency. And then we got any of the other safeties that we have got to step up.
Yeah, Dylan Day got to step up. Yeah.
Yep. So there's guys that have to step up. With Heatherman coming back, I don't think the defense is going to change much because he was spectacular. But as I always told you, and a lot of the guys I bring on the show tell you the same thing, the front four is the critical aspect of your defense. With no pass rush, you're going to get picked apart. I don't care if you have Rod Woodson and Deion Sanders back there, you're going to get picked apart. So the D-line is critical, and I think we're going to be good. Not as good as we were, but with the offense scoring as many points as I think they're going to score, most teams we play, if not all of them, are going to be playing catch-up, playing right into our hands. Let the pass rush be. You're going to run the ball 30 times when you're losing by 3 touchdowns? I don't think so. So this is the flip side of this past year. Our offense was more conservative because of the defense. This year, the offense will be just running up and down the field like a track meet, and the defense will be out there and just, they give up 20 points a game. We're still going to win every game, which is what I'm predicting. The only game I'm not predicting is Notre Dame because I hate those sons of bitches, and they always cheat. Even though Lou Holtz is somewhat on his deathbed, they'll drag his ass to the stadium because that game that we lost to them on that Cleveland Gary play at the goal line, if there was a replay, we would have won that game. And I bet you, I said it last week, we're going to see a ton of Catholics versus convict signs at that stadium. They're going to replay all that. I just hope we go up there and beat the daylights out of them. That would be nice.
You and me both, friend. I think we're on the same page on that one.
Well, you tell me about your guys that you think need to step up, the new starters.
So Hayden Lowe is a big one. It seemed like he got back to practicing a bit, during playoff season, which was huge. So I expect him to be able to hit the ground running coming off the knee injury. Chase Smith, I think, is going to have a big opportunity being back this year. Torrey led the team in tackles last year, so I expect Torrey to be like the anchor of the linebacker room. Cameron Bobby Pruitt, Bruce, is someone who, in the limited reps that he gets, he always does something special, whether it's special teams, providing big hits, or on defense. He's another one who's getting a little bigger, adding some size. So, that's a huge one.
Omar Thornton, you like that. From Boston College.
I was about to get to him, actually. Omar Thornton is a hitter. And then I think one of the big X factors is if Miami can get anything out of Conrad Hussey, right? Coming out of, he was at Oregon State last year, which is like football purgatory. He started his career at Florida State. Like he was pretty good his true freshman year, when their team was really good in 2023, and then had, a dip in his sophomore year, transferred to Oregon State. But it's like, if Miami can get him back to his potential as a former 4-star recruit out of St. Thomas Aquinas, because I look at what Miami did with Keontae Scott, was not that highly projected last year as one of the best DBs in the country. Jacoby Thomas was like an afterthought for a lot of people, had a tremendous year. So if Miami can help Hussey have that sort of a season, it could really be a great story.
Or both.
Either or both. Like a lot of folks expect he's going to play some free safety, but Brian Smith, who covered him at Florida State, said he can play the nickel, and he's also got enough speed to play corner. So he's going to be another versatile guy in that defensive backfield.
By the way, speaking of Keontae, I looked at some of these draft predictions with Bain, Messidor, and Maui Noah going probably in the first round.
Yeah.
You know who the 4th pick is projected to be?
I've seen Keontae up there.
Yep. I saw second round to the Raiders. Yeah. So he may go as high as the second round. He's that good.
Well, there was one mock, I think it was like a CBS Sports one, that actually had him at the very end of the first round, which I don't expect to happen, but it'd be great if he could be a first round pick.
Yeah, he really was special. You know what? I said it, and you said it. I think you said it. I know how much you love Rueben Bain, but I think Scott was the best defensive player we had this year.
Yeah. at times for
He
sure.
was everywhere. Everywhere he was. So yeah, that's a big loss, I think. But
he was awesome. Well, huge thank you and shout out to the truth teller. And if you see him in Publix, make sure to say hello. If you see him walking around, let people know, Bruce, phone number where they can reach you if they're looking for custody help and anything like that.
Yeah, well, I'm still dealing with this kidnapped child. I got to still deal with that. But yeah, I've been doing this for 43 years, and I like to help people. A lot of you guys are not seeing your kid or kids. You can reach me at 954-258-2525. That's a very easy number, 954-258-2525.
Yeah, and by the way, feel free in the comments to give us your Mount Rushmores and rip ours to shreds, because I don't think you guys understand how hard this is to narrow it down to 4. And Bruce couldn't even do it. He's 5 faces on his mountain. To narrow it down to 4 faces or 2 half faces on the mountain is difficult.
That's because I saw Jerome play, so it's a little tough for me. But I love Sapp. Most people hate him, but he's friends with Mark, and I know it for years, so whatever.
I love it. Well, we'll talk to everyone next time. Have a great day. We'll talk to everyone on another episode of Locked On Canes. By the way, make sure to check out the all-access tier of the Locked On Canes Everydayer Club. Click the link in the show notes below, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the #1 Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.